what are some of our clients' hobbies that you, you could see your client doing on a day-to-day basis? Nobody?
Reading.
Sorry, put it in chat. Quilting, watching TV, reading.
And you know what's funny about that too? I didn't even think about this, guys, but this is literally part of the TTC lead, right? Like they list their hobbies. I didn't even think about that. So reading, quilting, sewing. What's some other stuff you guys saw in there? Reading, quilting, sewing.
Gardening, football, fishing. Yeah, fishing's big.
Fishing's big. So I know you guys can't see that. Let me just blow this up a little bit.
And you'll see numerous. I just put pets as a category. I don't mean
Pets.
pets, but I mean cat, dog, horse. You'll see some sort of animal.
Yep, 100%. Let me move this up. Yeah, a lot of them are pet owners, and especially if you guys can hear like in the background, like a dog or a cat or something like that. Great spot to build rapport. And that's kind of what this exercise is going to help us do because there's two, I guess you could call commonalities, right? And that's the goals and the challenges for our clients. So the two goals and challenges that we'll always see are going to be what's their goal is to get coverage, and what's their challenge? Financing. Can everybody agree with that? I mean, the goal that we're talking to them, they call it a commercial because they have a problem. So the goal is obviously to solve the problem. It's to get life insurance coverage in place so that Johnny doesn't have to pay out of pocket. The only challenges are, can they afford it? And so a lot of us are hearing, hey, is this free? Is the government paying for it? It's $5 a day or $5 a week, right? $5 a month. So it's always the same. We can all agree, like, it's hard to build rapport without knowing some of these other things that we're about to go over. I just wanted to touch on this really quick. Like, these two are the most obvious things, right? The goals and challenges. So you're always going to have these. And it's hard to be able to quote somebody with conviction if you're only focused on the most regular commonalities amongst every single life insurance agent. Hey, John, yeah, I just saw the commercial on TV. I just, I need to find something I can afford. I'm on Social Security, boom, boom, boom. Like these are all obvious things. And because they're so obvious, we feel like we're in rapport with them because we know what their problem is. We know what challenges and questions they're going to have ultimately. Is it affordable? And you don't have any coverage today, 9 times out of 10, right? So it feels like we're in rapport because we do know exactly their challenges, but we're missing the actual rapport building piece that allows us to establish a connection with these clients. And that's the biggest difference. That's why the scripts are like so long, because you have to kind of draw out the conversation and get on their good side. Like we're not pitching to millennials and Gen Z or whatever. Like we're not pitching to that person where it doesn't really make sense to ask them what their hobbies are. Are they family oriented? That's just the nature of the game, right? So these folks are a little bit more family centric. These people have actual hobbies. Like if you were talking to Gen Z or millennial like myself, it'd be like TikTok, right? What's your hobbies? Like watching YouTube videos, right? Like unfortunately, a lot of these things are kind of fizzling out. But it's important to know that, and it's important to try to build as much rapport as you can around some of these other topics. So another thing I want to show you guys real quick is, aside from hobbies, um, the next thing is going to be like their heart, right? So actually this box can actually go away. Sorry, guys. We'll put heart here. So their heart is going to be things like their kids. So we just talked about some of these. Kenny had a good one. It's pets, like dogs, cats, you know. What are some other areas, that you guys could say, where's my client's heart at? Obviously, we're going to say kids. We'll build on this, right? Think about it, guys. Where's your client's heart at? Grandkids?
Grandkids.
It seems obvious, but nobody's saying anything.
Their spouses,
Okay.
spouse shouldn't have more than one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depends on which state, I guess.
Utah.
Yeah. So, these are the obvious ones, but guys, this is, the silence isn't really a metaphor here on this call. This is a real challenge for a lot of us on this call. We don't want to talk about it for some reason. All we want to talk about is the common ones, the challenges and the goals. Yeah, it's affordable. Yeah, I got 10 carriers I work with, people on a fixed income, right? But this is where we need to be at. Don't be afraid if you hear a dog. Like, you'll get different answers on this too, by the way. Do you talk about pets? Do you try to get close, building rapport, stuff like, you'll get different answers on other agents who may skip over a lot of this. But if you're building a real business, guys, you need to tap into these emotional aspects in your clients, because you'll be able to use them for persistency, stuff like that. Sending out cards, thank you cards, gifts. Knowing your client is the best thing that we can do, right? So what's another H that we have here is their health. This is a big one because I guess what you would call it is emotional IQ, right? If you're talking to a client and let's say they answer the phone, you're like, hey, this is Anthony, boom, 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 go ahead and grab a pen and a paper. They get a pen and a paper, and then you go, okay, I want you to write this down. 512-202-1928. My first name is Anthony, Anthony. The thing is, you're not thinking about their health. And a lot of times these folks, they can't hear that well. So we're speeding through it, right? What's another health condition that we have to keep in mind? By the way, health is good and bad. Arthritis.
Speech.
What was it?
Strokes for speech.
Strokes, like speech impediment, strokes. Yep. So I'm not talking about underwriting, right? But what he said made a lot of sense, because sometimes they'll answer the phone, they'll sound a kind of way, right? And maybe we're judging that, how they sound when they answer the phone. They might sound aggressive. They might have to be aggressive to get what the hell they want to say out. But we might take it personal. Oh, this dude's yelling on the phone, right? This person, I can't hear him that well, and we'll let that affect our pitch. But instead of like leading with compassion and empathy, we lead with like our egos in that manner. You know what I mean? And it can affect the way that you sell. It could affect your day, especially if you like to take things personal, like me. If you do take things personal and not really think, like, if you guys just got to think, what kind of people are we dealing with, right? And the reason I put hands up there is because when you're telling them your phone number and your name, I'd probably say a good 60-70% of my clients write slow. They write super slow. And just by slowing down your tonality and your cadence, you're not only showing them that you're listening, but you're like being present in the conversation, which is very rare these days with the way that sales reps, dude, the way that sales reps are today, it's like there really shouldn't be any competition if we can pitch with conviction and compassion, because everybody's becoming a number. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've heard leaders in our organization, in our industry, say that same exact thing. Hey man, it's just a numbers game. It's true to an extent, but you can go look, you can do better than that. It's a numbers game, but you can do better than that. I mean, what we're doing is like helping folks out. You got to have heart, right? So you got stroke, speech, you got hands for arthritis. What's some other health conditions?
Fatigue.
Fatigue.
Yes.
Give
Mental.
Give me, let's stick with fatigue real quick. Let me drop mental. Let's talk about fatigue. Where would that take place in a conversation?
Well, they have a limited ability to hang in there. They get tired easily. They're tension waivers. They need to be prepared for a longer period of time. So many times the script says this is quick, but it's really not that quick in comparison to what their ability to hang in there is.
Yeah, you said a lot there too, Jeannie. Like one of the things that you just said was the mental fatigue, like fatigue and mental kind of go together. So guys, have you ever been in some of my meetings? I hope aren't like this, but I'm sure some of you guys have probably been on these meetings and been like, God, man, this is kind of dragging, right? Until maybe I'll say something or somebody says something that like you guys resonate with, and then you're back in the conversation, you're back into the meeting. But if it's just like super boring and nothing's resonating, because life insurance is life insurance, you can only make it appealing so much. That also is a part of building rapport. And that's why you want to talk about some of the hobbies, where their heart's at, because people just like to talk about themselves. That's what they like to do. So if you can keep them engaged as much as you should be present on these conversations, we should be present and engaged in these conversations. That's how we're going to keep their mind from experiencing fatigue. Another thing too is like, hey, go grab a checkbook. Right? Sometimes we don't think that, dude, they might have a walker. They might be upstairs. They might be in a wheelchair upstairs. They can't even get up and down. Right? So sometimes we'll hang up. I'm guilty of it. I've hung up too. Somebody goes to get their checkbook. It takes 3 minutes too long and I'm out. Sometimes I've waited like 10 minutes and maybe it's too long, right? But I've waited longer than maybe I should have, and they've come back with the actual information. But just saying, like, be present in that conversation with them and try to get an idea of like where they're at fatigue wise, and then their mentality. How does that kind of affect the conversation? I know we can go a lot of places with this, Noah.
Well, I think one thing that we didn't mention, which I think I have encountered with a lot of my clients, it's not just the fatigue, especially with really impatient older clients, it's pain. Just physical pain. Because of that, they're short and they don't have patience. But when it comes to mental issues, at first I tried to pitch everybody, but there's a certain point where you can divine whether or not this person is balanced or unbalanced, and you gotta make a decision as to how much farther you're going to go. But
yeah.
Well,
So
it's really a
pain's real with these people.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
It's
Jeannie.
really a balancing act to try to determine if the client says they're not feeling well, at what point do you say, well, we can schedule another time to talk, because you have the danger at that point of losing them forever. But if you continue to push and they're really not feeling well, then you also have the danger of causing a major health event, or just losing them entirely because they just can't hang in there. So I don't know how you determine that for sure.
So I feel like a lot of people say they don't feel good. I mean, you're a life insurance agent. They're not really that interested in talking to you. So I feel like I get that objection all the time. And you sympathize, you tell them, you're sorry, what's going on? Are you sick? Do you have allergies, whatever? And then you keep going until they tell you to stop again. If they're really sick, they're going to tell you to stop again. And, I'll ask them, is this something that you're interested? Are you really interested in getting life insurance? And they'll usually tell me, yeah, not right now. I really don't feel good. It's not an excuse. I'm like, okay, no problem. What day would you like me to reach out? And whatever they say, I'm always busy the first time, right? Like, my schedule's not free, and then just schedule a appointment for them. But I make them tell me again. I don't just stop there.
Yeah, it's a good point. Schedule's not free. I was going to touch on some of the people having challenges with free, but so to your point, right, Jeannie, you have some people who actually might be heavily medicated too. So
Right.
just active listening is like it's
Right.
super key here. And
one lady I talked to in the hospital, I mean, I didn't know she was in the hospital, but I just noticed there was something wrong in her speech pattern. She
Mhm.
was she sounded like she was in pain. And so when I asked her, and she said, "Well, I'm in the hospital. I just had a major surgery." So clearly she wasn't up to talking.
Yeah. And ironically enough, a lot of folks who are in the hospital, they will give you all the time because they're just sitting in a hospital bed. Right. And their family doesn't come to visit, and you're offering them a conversation about their family. So you will get a lot of folks like that too. Just be sparingly, with that, kind of feel their situation out and underwrite them according to their condition and stuff like that. But like Ashley Bryant just said, I just go once. If you're looking for like oh, I don't feel good, I'll sympathize with them. You know what I mean? And offer any condolences I can, and then just try to keep the conversation moving forward. And if they mention it again, then yeah, I mean, I'll call them back. Like, we're human beings, right? So before this slips my mind, because there's a couple agents on here who are having trouble with free. Oh, by the way, Jeannie, sorry guys. I use the pen and paper too to kind of gauge as well. Like if somebody's on heavily medicated, or it might sound like they're on medicine. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. They might be slurring the words a little bit, talking a little bit slow. I'll have them go grab a pen and paper literally for that reason too, just to see if they're even like coherently there, and then give them my name, number, and I just do like my own little assessment of their well-being in that point in time. She said, ask them to put their teeth in. It's too funny. But yeah, so she said, my time is not free. So a lot of clients who ask, hey, is this free? Ashley has in her script, correct me if I'm wrong, but she built in a little line, regardless if they say if it's free or not, that I think a lot of us could actually use. And I hope you don't mind me giving them this little gem out of your script, Ash. But she says, my services to you are always free. My services to you are always free. This is who we are, what we do, boom, boom, boom. And that's it. Do you want to expand on that, Ash? Am I lying?
Yeah, it's part of my introduction. So when I tell them who I am, it's yeah. So Anthony, my services are free for you. I get paid by the
I adopted a formula. I adopted a formula.